Welcome to the newest episode of Beatin' and Bangin'. I'm your host, Kyle Dalton. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing several stories from the calls I was on over the last couple of days with the two team owners in the championship four, in Joe Gibbs, Rick Hendrick, and HMS Vice Chairman Jeff Gordon. The three visited with reporters about the season finale on Sunday in the desert and talked about a variety of topics, including Joe Gibbs addressing the engine issues that occurred on Sunday at Martinsville, and if he's concerned about it this weekend at Phoenix. Rick Hendrick was questioned about Kyle Larson currently in the midst of his longest winless streak since joining the four-car organization, and what his expectations are of the number 5 team this weekend. Hendrick and Jeff Gordon also went outside the playoffs and talked about the number 48 of Alex Bowman and what the plans are for 2026. In addition to those calls, I listened to Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin yesterday during their media appearances on Sirius XM NASCAR radio, and Larson offering the reason on why he wins the championship. I thought it was an interesting response. Plus, Denny Hamlin talked about his level of concern going into Phoenix with the mechanical issues he's had in recent weeks. But the most interesting answer from the 44-year-old driver came when he responded to a hypothetical presented to him that I've thought of for the last several years. You Hamlin fans want to hear this answer. And we'll wrap up with our By the Numbers segment. However, before we start crunching those numbers, let's go back to Monday and a conference call I was on with team owner Joe Gibbs. He talked about a variety of topics, including Briscoe and Hamlin making the championship four, how hard it is to get there, and the respect he has for Rick Hendrick and the two teams they will be battling against on Sunday. However, before he answered all those questions, he was first asked by Bob Pockris about the big topic I've talked about for the last couple of weeks, reliability concerns for the organization. You'll hear his answer to that question, and then his answer when asked, what is his level of involvement in a situation like what happened to the numbers 11 and 19 on Sunday at Martinsville?
Yeah, Coach Denny has had a few mechanical issues over the last 5-6 weeks. Do you have any concerns or doing anything additional for quality control?
No, we've been on that all morning. We've all got the parts out, looked at everything. And I think issues with the motors are always concerning. You never want that to happen. But I think we kind of have understood where we are and what those parts were and have made adjustments for sure. And really, those parts will not be in the cars for this weekend. So I feel good about that. We got a great group of technical people here. Our Toyota people, particularly with the motors, which was a huge issue for us. It makes you really nervous, and it makes them nervous because they're perfectionists. So this morning, what we did, we got all the parts, we laid them out. We had a full discussion on where we are, what happened. That's the first thing. And certainly in racing, you want to make sure you understand what did happen. That's really important. What did cause, and don't miss that. I think we've got that detailed. And so the decisions then were made by Toyota. This is what we're going to do for this coming weekend. And so we feel like that we've made the right decisions, and we kind of have discussed what did happen, and we're convinced that we made the right decisions about what's going to take place on Sunday. So I think it's made by Toyota and a lot of our technical people, and I'm kind of a bystander, but I kind of know what they're doing.
So by the sounds of it, he's confident they identified and isolated the problem and it won't be a factor at Phoenix. You know that's a storyline that JGR fans and quite frankly HMS fans will be paying close attention to this weekend. Moving on to our next item, and it was yesterday's call with Rick Hendrick and Jeff Gordon. Once again, my friend Bob Pockris asked the question I was thinking about regarding Kyle Larson and his longest winless drought at HMS since he arrived in 2021, which currently stands at 23 races.
Kyle hasn't won since Kansas in May, his longest winless streak since joining you. So I'm curious, how much do you think the month of May maybe had to do with that? And how have you seen Kyle kind of react to, I won't call it a slump, but just kind of this mini winless streak?
Yeah. Well, he's Williams led the most laps this year, and Kyle's number 2. They both led over 1,000 laps. So I don't know that that's a slump, but he did have some. It was a downer in May. You know, we get out and we didn't do what we wanted to do at Indy, and then he comes back in Charlotte and loses it on the first or second lap, and that was a emotional roller coaster, and the team's got to get back up on their feet. But I look at what they're doing now, and he was in a position to win the race at a plate race where we haven't had a lot of success with that car, and he ended up running out of gas. So, and there's a lot of races he was leading the race, and a caution came out and something happened. But I'm excited about going to Phoenix with both cars. I think he's got the bit in his teeth right now, and I don't think you can deny William Byron for what he's accomplished this year and how close he's been in some races. And the guys have worked hard on this our flat track, short track program, and Kyle's ready, and so is William. So I'm looking forward to this coming weekend and trying to get another championship.
So he's looking forward to possibly getting another championship this weekend with one of his two drivers. But what about looking ahead to 2026? And what about the number 48 car of Alex Bowman?
Bowman seems to be the team that's kind of just like running in the fourth spot always. What is the emphasis that you put on the 48 team to try to get up there with Chase and William and Kyle?
Well, I think the pressures, they put a lot of pressure on themselves, and but they had a good start on the year, and there have been some tracks that Alex was our best car. So no different than trying to work on the short track program. That team is working hard on getting better everywhere, and I think they're showing great signs. But you're always gonna have someone that's following the rest of the group. And if you remember, Chase wasn't having that good a year or so ago, and now we've stepped that one up. So Jeff will tell you there's a tremendous amount of focus on the 48 because because of our sponsor and just our pride. But I think Alex will have a good year next year.
Yeah, obviously the 48 and what that number means to Hendrick Motorsports throughout its history, there's a lot of pride there for a Hendrick car, but specifically the 48, when you look at the 7 championships, right, that have come from that car. And so we want to keep that going for the company, for the people that work so hard on that car, as well as for our sponsors. What I would tell you is a couple of things is that team has contributed tremendously to the success of this company, to all of our teams. I mean, they add a lot of value in what they bring, the information that comes from Blake and his team and Alex. So, we know that they're very valuable, but we also know that there's things that need to be improved there. And it's a big part of our focus in this off season is giving Blake the tools that they need and making sure surrounding them with all the things that then can help strengthen their team and just button up some of those things. I'm with Rick. I don't think they're that far off. When you're at Hendrick, the expectations are high, especially when you look at the performance of the other 3. But I think those guys are right there. They're already contributing a lot. And I think that, a few minor adjustments, and I think those guys can be right there in the hunt. We've already seen Alex very capable of winning races, going deep in the playoffs. And we think, there's a lot of promise there for next year.
I'm really curious to hear what you Alex Bowman fans think about the response and the 2026 season. Okay, moving on from the team owner conference calls, but still sticking with HMS. As mentioned, the drivers made the media rounds yesterday, and I caught the 2 interviews with Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin. Each driver was asked why they are going to be the winner on Sunday, and I thought Larson provided an interesting response. Take a listen.
Why do you walk away a 2-time champion this Sunday?
Oh, I don't know. It's hard to say. Every team is so good, but I don't know. I think it starts with I really believe in Cliff Daniels, and I think his leadership is what's going to take us, further than the others. So, I really think that's biggest asset, and hopefully we can use it to our advantage.
Just hearing that really makes you understand just how much Larson trusts Cliff Daniels. And now I want to shift over to the interview with Denny Hamlin. First up, I want you to hear what he had to say about his confidence level with his car and avoiding potential mechanical gremlins this weekend.
Are you confident that the recent run of mechanical challenges, how about we put it that way, are you confident that that's behind you now?
I mean, confident? I mean, maybe. I don't know. I think it's so week to week, but obviously this playoffs in general has been a challenge in the mechanical side of things, and I've seen it all during the course of my career. I've had some crazy things happen, but fortunately we've won, and we've gotten through by winning in multiple rounds, and so that just tells me that we got the speed, we got everything we need, and I am confident going into the weekend that they're going to have a great car for me and something that I can work with.
So he's confident they'll give him a good car, but will it be one without mechanical issues is the bigger question. And the last thing I wanted you to hear from the Hamlin interview is something that I've thought about for the last couple of seasons. Hamlin has made it clear on his podcast and even on the Dale Jr. download that he wants to end his career as a winning driver. He has said he wants to win his final race. So with that in mind, wouldn't winning the race in Phoenix and as a result his first championship be the perfect storybook ending to his career?
He said, if Denny Hamlin wins this championship, could he walk up on stage, hold that big trophy up over his head and say, good night, everybody. I'm now a part-time racer for 23XI when I feel like it, but this is the crowning moment of my career. I can never be better, and this is a great time to do a mic job. What do you think?
I mean, it would be the perfect scenario for me.
Oh, Coach isn't liking this answer.
Yeah, it would be the perfect scenario for me personally, but I have to keep into account that I don't know that JGR has an alternative plan right now and in place. I think they're working on the plan for when I'm not here, and right now it's after a couple years. But I don't. I'm too loyal to JGR to put him in a bad spot. But certainly for me, I would be content with that.
Interesting response from Hamlin, and oh, what a mic drop moment that would be. All right, and now it's time for our By the Numbers segment, and we're going to start with our last 5 races analysis. And sitting atop the standings for a 4th consecutive week is Christopher Bell with his impressive average finishing position of 4.8, which is incredibly almost 4 spots clear of 2nd place. The number 20 has been super consistent over his last 5 with all of them top 10s and 3 of them inside the top 5. Tyler Reddick slots into the 2nd spot with an AFP of 8 even. The 23XI racing driver has also been steady lately and has 4 finishes inside the top 10. Kyle Larson is 3rd this week with an AFP of 8.2, which includes 4 top 10 finishes of his own, including his 5th on Sunday at the Paperclip. Chase Briscoe, who had been running 2nd the last few weeks, drops to 4th this week at 12 even. As you can see, the number 19 driver was good in the previous 4 weeks with 3 top 5s and his win at Talladega, but that 37th place result on Sunday dropped him in the rankings. And take a look at who's in the 5th spot. Todd Gilliland is with his AFP of 12.2, which includes 2 strong finishes at Talladega and Martinsville. Rounding out the top 10 are Ryan Preece, Bubba Wallace, and I have to highlight Shane Van Gisbergen because you can see he's got that win at the Roval, but take a look at what he's done on the ovals. He's got 3 top 15s in there and shows just how much he has improved this year on the left turn only tracks. He's followed by Chase Elliott and Joey Logano. And now let's take a look at our race progression graphs this week, starting with our top 5 finishers. This week's graph returns to normalcy after last week's graph at Talladega was all over the map. And this week's numbers paint a pretty clear picture, one that shows William Byron was dominant and his HMS teammates of Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott were also very good as they ran inside the top 5 for most of the day. But you can't help but notice that one black line of Ryan Blaney, who started 31st and steadily made his way forward. Something tells me we'll be seeing him in our biggest movers. Notably absent from this graph were the JGR cars. But when you look at the JGR graph, you can see why, with the team's engine troubles clearly evident, starting with Chase Briscoe early in that 3rd stage and followed by Denny Hamlin less than 50 laps later. Christopher Bell had a solid day, but it wasn't good enough to advance to the championship 4. And now let's move on to our biggest movers of the day, and we'll start with those heading in the wrong direction. Cole Custer and Riley Herbst are tied, both dropping 11 spots in the race. Michael McDowell comes in second, having dropped 13 spots, and he's followed by his Spire teammate Carson Hocevar, who dropped 16. But the biggest loser on the day, as you might expect, were the two JGR cars of Chase Briscoe and Denny Hamlin, who lost 28 and 30 spots, respectively. Conversely, those heading in the right direction were Ross Chastain, who gained 9 positions during the race. He was followed by Ryan Preece, who picked up 12 spots, and Justin Haley, who gained 15. Josh Berry was the second biggest gainer on the day, and he picked up 17 spots. But the biggest mover was the one I talked about on Monday, and that was Ryan Blaney, who started 31st and finished second. A really solid day for the number 12 team, but came up 1 spot short of where he wanted. And finally, drum roll please. We have our final Mario Kart point standings of the year. It's our final one because we have officially crowned a champion. Christopher Bell is 18 points clear of his JGR teammate Chase Briscoe, so he is the winner of our Mario Kart point standings for 2025. And I want to give a shout out to Joel Steuben for all the great graphics he's provided this year. But these Mario Kart point standings are his baby. I wasn't sure about including them in the show, but you guys have let me know that you enjoy them, so I've regularly included them. They will be back in 2026. Again, I want to thank Joel for all these graphics he's provided this year. I'm so grateful for all his hard work. And one last order of business I wanted to share with you. As you guys know, earlier this year, I shared with you my experience with John Edwards, Kyle Larson's PR guy, who tragically passed away. This sticker right here honors John. Well, John also worked closely with Jeff Gordon for years. So this past week, I received an unexpected package from John's father, Randy. He's the one who provided me with that sticker. He sent this Jeff Gordon Foundation hat with Gordon's autograph on it and included a note saying, the hat was on John's desk, and rather than packing it away in a closet, he wanted to donate it to somewhere where it might get good use. He also added that Gordon offered to sign it when he found out it was going to be donated. So I just wanted to thank Jeff for signing it and Randy for thinking of me and sending it. It means so much. As I've said before, there's a reason John was so beloved by the NASCAR garage, and it clearly starts with his parents. So thanks again, Randy and the Edwards family. All right, guys, so that's a wrap on today's episode. Let's talk about it. I want to get your thoughts on the comments of Joe Gibbs and Denny Hamlin on the recent mechanical issues. If you're a JGR fan, how confident are you that there won't be any issues this weekend when it matters most? Sticking with Hamlin, what did you think of his remarks about a potential mic drop moment and winning the championship and walking off into the sunset and retiring? As for you HMS fans, what do you think of Kyle Larson's longest winless streak since he joined HMS in 2021? And are you as confident as Rick Hendrick going into Sunday's race? And for you number 48 fans, what did you think of the comments of Hendrick and Jeff Gordon about their expectations of the team in 2026? Thanks again for checking out the latest episode and supporting the channel. I really and truly appreciate it and hope you have a great rest of your day.